This episode is brought to you by Red State Spirits. And let me tell you, these guys are absolute rock stars. They're home to your true American spirits. From the classic bottles to the classic taste, they're inspired by the true American spirit, as Red State Spirits brings you a taste like none other. Enjoy the true American bourbon, true American vodka, or their famous true American gin or rum. It's everything you look for from grain to glass. They're veteran owned and operated. And whatever brand of adult beverage that you like to enjoy, I promise you'll be switching to Red State Spirits after your first taste. And right now, when you go to redstatespirits.com, you can get your flat rate shipping at $20. So whether you order one bottle or six, it's the same price at $20 for that flat rate shipping. Or get the famous 4-pack with a bottle of bourbon, vodka, gin, and rum. Use our promo code REASON and get free shipping. By the way, if you just want the bourbon, that promo code works as well. If you buy the 4-pack of that true American bourbon, use that promo code REASON and still get that free shipping. Enjoy the true American taste with our friends at Red State Spirits. Go to redstatespirits.com. Do it today. Tell them I sent you. Must be 21 years or older. Please drink responsibly.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Boom, here we are. It is a Monday, ready to rock and roll for a whole new one, setting that tone for a whole new week. We're going to carpe diem all over this place, just like we do every single day here on the program. Great to have you along for the ride, as usual, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, our flagship station, KQAM, the Big Talker. But we are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates as we continue to grow, doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the show. There is plenty to get to this past weekend. Yeah, we broke down the former NBA superstars that are now identifying as potentially having identified as a trans woman to qualify for the WNBA. Now, apparently, the WNBA not very happy about that. They've released a statement. We'll talk on that in just a moment. Donald Trump signing two executive orders today regarding childhood vaccines.
Say what?
Yeah, I know. People not very happy about that. And, of course, we have the official swearing in after the confirmation last week. Right as the U.S. Senate went on to their now month-long recess, we now have they did confirm it, and the swearing-in happened today. Now, Todd Blanche is officially the acting Attorney General for the United States.
That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of which I am about to enter. So help me God. So help me God.
Boom. There you go. All right. It's official. So Todd Blanche is now our Attorney General, and I got to admit, I think he's going to do a good job. I think he'll be all right on that front. So we have all that to cover today. Dennis Kneale will be on the program at the bottom of the hour. He is a journalist and author of the book Oregoners. We'll chat with him about Mamdani's grocery stores, and now Abdul El Said advocating for universal health care and taxing millionaires to pay for your health care system. So we'll cover that. Also, out of the gate, man, we have a lot to talk about, and we have our great guest right out of the gate today for the show.
Let's go to the Red State Spirits hotline.
That's right, with our friends over at Red State Spirits, redstatespirits.com. Go and check those guys out. The economy, where are we at? Donald Trump did an interview last week, I want to say Thursday or Friday, and had talked about the economy, saying that right now he should deserve an A+ on the economy, with the number of manufacturing coming in, the prices that are coming down, inflation that's been relatively low compared to the 30% cumulative inflation rate that we had seen over the 4 years of Joe Biden. So overall, he gives himself an A+. Where do you stand on the economy? I know gas prices are still high right now, but when it comes to actual jobs, your wages, and a heck of a lot more, that's where I want to go to with our next guest on the program, as he is with the Job Creators Network, Mr. Alfredo Ortiz. Alfredo, how are you, my friend?
Andy, I am doing great, but I'm kind of disappointed because on your list of things to cover isn't the recent announcement just made about AOC freezing her eggs.
Oh, that's right. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because
that's like like breaking news.
That is breaking news. She's on video freezing her eggs, and then I saw, actually, just as we came on the air, I saw a little meme from Babylon Bee, the satire piece, saying that James Tallarico now wants to mimic her by freezing his own eggs as well. So well done. Yeah, well done on that one. So,
but true. And by the way, boo-hoo. AOC's like, oh, I have to like save up for years my $8,000 because my government insurance doesn't cover it. I'm like, okay, but you did get like $10 million for a Netflix deal, I believe.
Yeah.
So don't boo-hoo me.
Yeah,
anyway.
she's jumped in value for sure. But yeah, that's the breaking story, I guess, of the day is that she's freezing her eggs and she's doing it live on a video stream. And then she tells people, she's like, don't get weird about it while she lifts up her shirt and then does the injection right into her belly. Like, this is the same girl, though, that gets drunk on a live video stream drinking wine while trying to put together furniture from IKEA and starts crying about, how bad the world is. So, AOC's our favorite person on this program.
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
Yeah, she's definitely one of our more favorite ones here on the program. And she's the one that drives business away from her district, right? I mean, she didn't even allow the Amazon thing to happen.
I'm not sure if you remember, Andy, but years ago, we're the ones that put that billboard up in Times Square that slammed her.
That's right. That was epic. Yeah, I'm sure that her district is still not very happy about losing so many job opportunities.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, but we could have a whole show about AFC.
She's a character, and now we're having so many more new ones come out. I mean, she's not we got Mamdani saying ridiculous things. You got all of these people. They're trying to mimic her. Kamala Harris is probably one of our favorites for sure. But nonetheless, let's talk about the economy because we're seeing vastly different ideas on where the economy can go right now. But overall, I asked the question with the Trump administration right now, what would you grade the Trump administration on jobs, manufacturing, getting the economy back on track?
I mean, look, things are great. I mean, really it's an A, right? I mean, A, I'm not going to give them an A+ because I just never give anybody an A+. But I can give them an A. Look, the economy is doing great. The Trump tax cuts were unbelievably important for our economy. July 4th of a year ago was truly Independence Day for so many small business owners because they were actually able to get the permanency on their tax cuts, the permanency on their accelerated depreciation. So for anybody who, really understands that, other of your listeners, what I'm talking about in terms of manufacturing and stuff like that, you're able to literally deduct the entire expense of your purchase in the year that you bought it, which is huge versus over multiple years. So it allows us more of our small businesses to invest back into their businesses to hire more people, pay more wages, hire benefits, and all that's translated into some great numbers in the economy. Sure, we have a little, skirmish, obviously, that's going around, in the Mideast, in Iran, and that is going to get taken care of. Yeah. We know that. It had to get done. There was never a good time to do it, and leave it to Trump to go, okay, you know what, the economy is pretty good right now. It can take this little shock right now to do something that really has had to be done for literally decades.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, talk about the difference between how well the economy is going with the investment, the long-term plans, the long-term structure, talk about fundamentally transforming, which is what Barack Obama did back in the day. We're hitting a reset button and going back to an old school style, which is, free market capitalism without less government, the government not doing contracts and bidding, but actually the private sector doing it. A wild concept, right. So we're in the middle of this transition, which is really exciting. At the same time, though, consumer sentiment and people's feelings about the economy still aren't where they need to be. Why is that? And is that going to harm us as we get closer to midterm season for November?
Well, that's always kind of the conundrum, right, for our Republican friends out there, because, the economy's great. We know it is, but people say that it's not. But look, here's part of the problem is that when the liberals and the Democrats and the commies really, quite frankly, control 90% of the media message, when you add up all social media and traditional media and all that, let's be honest, they control 90% of that message. So you only have 10% of the media messages out there that are actually saying the truth, like you, right? And it's hard to get through that. Hard to get through that. And quite frankly, the traditional media, the mainstream or lamestream media, as our president likes to call it, right? Lets the Democrats get off with saying anything they want, and they never question them. And so, unfortunately, the American public is lazy. I'm not going to say dumb, but lazy when it comes to, hey, you know what, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to go ahead and do my research and make sure. They just kind of accept it, right? And so that's part of the problem. And so, but the reality is things are going great. I mean, when you look at what happened with the landmark law a year basically later, I mean, it's sustained nearly 6 million jobs, right? These are American jobs. It preserved more than $1 trillion in economic output. It safeguarded over, half a trillion dollars in wages. And not to mention the negotiated investment now into this country that Trump was over about 6 months or so, but it's almost like $7 to $8 trillion. Maybe the number's now $9 trillion of pledged investment into this country, into manufacturing jobs, into bringing jobs back to America.
Yeah, that's exactly. And I'm glad you went there, because that's where I wanted to ask is now we're not even seeing all of it come to fruition. This takes time. I know people like this immediate gratification, instant gratification that we have largely because of social media. But I mean, not only the jobs that we've seen grow now, which have been record breaking every month, we've seen more than expected for the most part with job growth in the country. We have a lot of opportunity coming soon. And as we bring back computer chip making, we bring back pharmaceutical production, we bring back all of these industries that we outsourced for a decade plus now. When those come back, these are going to be major opportunities for workers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is called a pipeline, right? It's not failure. It's actually a pipeline, right?
Yeah.
Things take time. They're created. You have to create a pipeline to have these jobs come so you can have a healthy economy. I mean, look, U.S. Steel, for example, they're restarting their Gary Tin Mill in Indiana, and they're creating 225 jobs at a plant that was, frankly, I think shuttered in 2022 under the, cheap foreign imports, really. And so, slowly these jobs are coming back. There's a member of ours in Chicago. She invested $650,000 in new machining equipment and expanded capacity, and it reshored a lot of work that had gone overseas and adding jobs to her payroll. So people are investing. People are feeling good about the economy. Look, we do wish that gas prices were lower again, oil prices were lower again, that the Iran, war wasn't happening or conflict wasn't happening. But again, we got to do it. At one point, we had to clean it up and, leave it to Trump to go, you know what? We are in good enough shape right now where the economy can take the small shock right now to do what's had to be done for decades.
Yeah, well, there's never a better time than the present to actually get things done and hit that reset button. And we are seeing a lot of that transition. I mean, all the jobs, which I've been really proud of, Alfredo, is that the fact that when we see job creation month over month and all these reports that come out, they're all private sector jobs. We're not growing the economy. We're not growing the government. We're not doing public sector jobs, because that's what a lot of the job growth was during Obama and Biden and all these other big government types. So as well, we created jobs. Cool. You just expanded a government agency, and now all of our taxpayer money is going to their salaries. That's not helping us. All of the stuff that's been done has been done in the private sector.
100%. And by the way, Andy, right now you're hearing a lot of AI in the news, right? AI. AI is taking jobs away, and all the layoffs from AI and stuff like that. But look, if you really dissect and see what's going on, it's all these DEI jobs, right? That were truly unproductive jobs. I'm serious. Like, there are unproductive jobs because after COVID, everybody was like rushing to hire people back, right? But these are the same people now that they're laying off that were asking for, like, I want to get paid for a 40-hour work week, but only work 30. I want to bring my emotional pig to work. I want to work from home and only from home. And oh my God, wait, you're asking me to report what I do to you? Oh no, I can't do that.
Wild concept.
These are the unproductive layer that, quite frankly, these companies are using AI as, I'll call it, as an excuse, right, to get rid of that unproductive layer. But they're reinvesting it back into the front lines, into the people that actually are productive.
Yeah.
And so it's all actually good, but the news and the media love spinning stuff.
Well, that they really do. Do you see AI becoming more of a baseline or more of an infrastructure built into our economy and some of the workforce?
The real difference, is going to be for small businesses. I call AI really the great equalizer, because it's allowing our small businesses, and it will allow our small businesses to do more, not with less, but with the same amount of people or very little additional people, right?
Yeah.
Basically making them more productive and more efficient and more profitable so that they can actually grow and compete with their bigger counterparts.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that. Alfredo, we got to take a hard break here. Can you stick over one more segment with us?
Sure, no problem.
Awesome. I love it. I want to continue that conversation, and I want to ask you about where we're at. Now that we're bringing workers back, I want to look at the job force itself when it comes to wages and the wage increases that we've been seeing and the ongoing battle with labor unions that we've seen. If you remember some of the labor demands that we saw, I want to say from the auto industry about a year or so ago when they were doing their protest, was pretty comical. And where does that fall in line as we bring this manufacturing and job growth back to the United States? It's Alfredo Ortiz, Job Creators Network. Go and check out what they're doing as we advocate for more work, more production, more American greatness as we bring in the golden age of America. We'll do that around the corner for your Monday. Setting that tone, man. We do it right here for the Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. Making common sense great again. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, common sense, reason, rationale. Great to have you here for a Monday. By the way, we have some new announcements coming soon on some new affiliates of the program. Radio stations popping up all over the country. We appreciate you and love you to death. You can find all the information on our website at HoosierReason.com, HOOSER. Reason.com. Our social media handle is the exact same. And, of course, if you want the podcast, you can find the show on any of your favorite podcasting sites by typing in the full name of the show, which is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. As we went to the break, I looked at the headlines on social media, and again, the video popped up of AOC freezing her eggs online. What is this?
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
Crazy world we live in, man. That's the headlines that people pay attention to. It's a weird, real world that's out there. Alfredo Ortiz, Job Creators Network, on the line with us as we continue on talking about the economy. Do you remember, Alfredo, I want to say it was about a year or so ago, the protests that we had seen, the walkouts from the auto unions that were advocating for, their demands were, if I remember correctly, cutting the 40-hour work week down to 32 hours, but then also having like a $50 an hour minimum wage for them, and like doubling their benefits and doubling all this other stuff. That's the type of stuff that doesn't help us in the conversation of bringing manufacturing back to the United States, allowing us to reinvest in the country. And that's why many companies did outsource much of their work, because when you ask for ridiculous demands that don't fall in line with the private market, you're not going to get a good result here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, I'm not sure they've gotten up to that 50, but boy, they sure are working their way up. I mean, I think they're up at about 35 from, it used to be like $21, I think, the minimum, and now they're up at 35 in many cases. It's death by 1,000 cuts though, because what they're trying to do is go to at very, very local levels.
Yeah.
And do it that way. So for example, Volkswagen in Chattanooga, the unions there just had a historic win, and so now they're taking that win and going around trying to get more facilities to join on basically. And so this is what they do. States like Georgia will have to be careful because these guys are just constantly being bombarded by the unions trying to make sure that they unionize as many of these shops as they can. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean the benefits and what they were getting is great, and people can decide to lift and take their shops elsewhere. I mean, look at what Elon did. I mean, he said, screw you to California, and he moved his shop in entirety in 1 week and moved it to Texas. So,
and he takes care of his workers. I mean, they don't want to unionize at Tesla because they're being taken care of so nicely now. That's the way it needs to work, is a relationship between the company and the worker, and that way everybody benefits from it. You don't have to have a labor union that screws up the entire process. At the end of the day, you take care of the worker, you still make some money, everybody's happy. It's, there's easy ways to take care of this stuff, and it's not by manipulating the markets. Alfredo, we got just about a minute left here, but talk about some of the fraud, the government spending that we're trying to get under wraps. We'll see if we ever do, at $40 trillion in debt, the inflation, how all of this affects the economy and for workers and for the money that we get in our pocket to actually spend on the private side.
Yeah, well, bottom line, I mean, all of these efforts, I mean, we have to get the government spending under control. I mean, period, right? Yeah, Elon knew that, the president knew that, that entire task force knew that. I mean, that's how we're going to get our debt down. I mean, we're almost hovering at $40 trillion now. I mean, and all this pushes up interest rates, and interest rates, of course, are a big driver of home purchases and so many of our purchases, right? And so it's hard to get interest rates down when inflation is up, but I think that's actually going to moderate, because when the conflict in Iran gets taken care of, that's going to moderate itself out. But but overall, you still have to deal with this $40 trillion of debt that's on our books, and I mean that's the unfortunate thing. And so we got to cut spending, just like you do and I do. When we don't have enough income coming in, we tighten our belts, and we don't go we don't go to the McDonald's as much.
That's right. Yeah, I got to have a balanced budget, and I can't go to Taco Bell all the time because apparently that'll lead me to the hospital now as well with that. Alfredo, we appreciate
Well, yeah, that's right.
That's right. We're out of time, brother. We got to get you back on again soon. We love the conversation.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You bet. Appreciate it. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
This episode is brought to you by Revelation Gold Group. In today's uncertain financial world, retirees and pre-retirees are always asking the important question, is there a way to help protect my retirement savings from stock market volatility? Well, the answer is yes. At Revelation Gold Group, they help individuals diversify their retirement portfolios with physical gold, silver, and precious metal IRAs. And here's the best part. Just like other partners here on this program, they're built on Christian values of integrity, stewardship, and trust, and want to help families make informed decisions about their financial future. At Revelation Gold Group, you'll receive personalized guidance, transparent service, and a commitment to treating every client with honesty and respect. Work with a company that has the same values that you do. And the website is easy to find. Go to HoosierMetals.com. That's HOOSER Metals.com. And use the promo code REASON when you talk to one of their representatives.
It's America's political therapist. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
He's been leading on this issue for years as well, too. It's a really incredible moment to stand here today and finally see the concerns of parents around this country addressed. There's been so much heartache where parents have had healthy children with no issues. They know they've been pressured into doing things that they didn't want to do, and medical science has told them for years that their concerns are not valid. This order does two fundamental, incredibly important things. First is we get off of this ridiculous path of having our children get 70 to 90 shots. That is wantonly excessive. Remember, each and every one of these shots produces a profound immunological response. So across any large population, if you give a kid shot after shot after shot, you're going to have vaccine injuries. You're going to have immunological issues. You're going to have potentially neurological issues. Secondly, and so important to you, Mr. President, is the unbundling of the shot.
All right, so that was Stephen Miller. That was during the executive session today in the White House and the Oval Office. President Trump signing 2 executive orders when it comes to childhood vaccines. Now, I thought we had already addressed that issue. The recommendations from the CDC went down from the 72 or whatever down to 11, but apparently now it's official, and that's what we're going to start promoting through the executive actions from the Trump administration, going from 70 to 90 vaccines for children down to 11. And that, my friends, is a major win. Major win. I'm excited. I know the other side's going to lose their minds. We're going to all die without dosing ourselves up.
We're all going to die because of you.
You know that's what's going to come, and I don't really care. That's a big win on that front. All right, I want to shift gears. We have a lot going on today for sure, including Zoran Mamdani. As you know, he has now opened up his grocery stores, the government grocery stores that you have to get an ID for because that way you don't take advantage of the system. I find that one ironic. Also, at the same time, the new Senate candidate out of Michigan, Mr. Abdul El Sayed, the progressive DSA, progressive Democrat candidate, has now done an interview saying that we need to have not just free grocery stores like Mamdani, but we also need to have millionaires pay for your universal health care system.
Just to be very clear, you're describing this trade-off. You are effectively acknowledging that people making less than $1 million could see their taxes go up. I just want to be very clear. Is that a yes?
I'm saying that we'd be paying for health care in a different way. Instead of paying a health insurance company whose CEO makes $20 million, I would much rather pay for durable health care into a government, which, of course, we all know provides health care for seniors who need health care the most.
So, because that one works out so well. The seniors' health care, that's brilliant. The VA health care system that works out so well with the government, right? That's
your blood fluid and get your brake working so you can stop sometimes.
Let's have our next guest on the program here, shall we?
Let's go to the Red State Spirits hotline.
That's right, with our friends over at Red State Spirits, redstatespirits.com. Use that promo code REASON for that free shipping. On the line with us, he's an author, he's a journalist. Happy to have back on the program Mr. Dennis Kneale. Dennis, how are you, my friend?
Hello, I am fantastic on a fabulous Monday in SoFlo, South Florida. You know, I lived in Brooklyn 40 years, And Kami Mamdani, he's not the reason I moved in January. My mom is the reason. But Kami Mamdani keeps managing to make me feel less and less disappointed or sad about leaving my home of 40 years.
I can imagine. God bless you for moving down in Florida and going from one crazy climate to another, from New York down to Florida. But look, I mean, this is interesting watching. I heard someone say that we need to have the social experiment play out about every 20 years or so to remind people about how bad it actually is. I don't know that we necessarily need to do that because I don't want to put people through that type of torture. But look, I mean, he's been in there for less than a year. We have a now city budget larger than the entire state of Florida. We have grocery stores that are going to bankrupt the place. He's already starting to tax millionaires and billionaires more so than anybody else. How is this thing going to end out, Dennis?
It's ending up badly, and it's already beginning to show up. That the thing is that New York is so big, so diversified, that it will take almost forever to actually destroy the city. My new book, Oregoners, How One State Chased Away Businesses and People, I zoomed up on Oregon because at 4 million people, it's less than half the size of New York City alone. And so the bad effects of well-intended liberal policies show up in sharper relief, and they show up much sooner. And that's what's happened. That state's losing thousands of people and earners and taxpayers and the rich and companies. You got timber companies in one of the biggest timber regions in the world in Oregon spending $250 million to buy timber in North Carolina, where they're actually allowed to log it. All kinds of bad outcomes from these liberal policies. And now Mamdani's following suit on the upper or middle west side in Manhattan. He is allowing a 12-block area to just be taken over by homeless tents and tarps. And this is what Portland did, and they ended up handing them out to the homeless, and they were camped all over the place, and it was an absolute a terrible outcome, actually.
Yeah, absolutely insane. So why, Dennis, then, why do you think people in New York voted for him? It's always been a relatively Democratic area. The last good Republican we had running New York City, obviously, was Rudy Giuliani back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was, I guess the glory days for New York. But why is it so blue? And when they see the tents, when they see the homeless, when they see the crime, when they see the drugs, when they see the dirtiness, why would they continue to vote for a Democrat that allows it actually embraces and encourages that type of behavior?
Right. Well, the first thing is that the vast majority of voters stayed home. And they didn't even bother to cast a vote. One congressional candidate, a socialist, was going to get into the House of Representatives, for gosh, and she's won with only 8% of the registered Democrats in her congressional district because no one bothered to vote at all. One big problem. Another problem is that message to the young telling that they can get stuff for free when it's never for free, is it? And you are seeing backlashes, though. Already this attempt to impose a new 5% tax for a second apartment, a pied-à-terre in Manhattan, totally boomeranged, and even liberals are upset about it because they're getting hit by it. There's also been, dozens or hundreds of mistakes, people getting taxed who shouldn't be because it isn't their second home, and it's just overall a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate. Here's the thing. We're starting to see this idea spread with the Democratic Socialists of America. We're seeing AOC. We're seeing Mamdani really kind of lead the front on this. And now it's starting to branch out from what started with, isolated, deep blue, safe areas where they could try this experiment, and AOC running with her congressional campaign, that sort of thing, to now we're seeing it on a grander scale. We're seeing the governor's race here in Kansas where I'm at. Our Cindy Holscher, she's a crazy Democrat. James Tallarico running for Senate in Texas. We're seeing this Abdul El Sayed up in Michigan that's embracing this as well. How effective are these policies and ideas going to be on a greater scale outside of their nice little isolated safe spaces?
Well, here's an actual metric to compare it by. Europe, which is quite socialist, especially in its economic policies. It's very kind of not capitalist at all, versus America. 2008, both regions had the same number roughly of people, same resources, similar size. And they were about the same size of economy, $14 trillion in 2008. Cut to today, Europe has grown less than 50% to $19 trillion in annual business, that GDP. And the U.S. has grown 120% to $32 trillion. The median income in Europe is $24,000 a year, okay? And the median income in America now is $80,000 a year. That's capitalism winning over socialism.
Yeah, that's a really great point. You said you live down in Florida now, coming from New York. That's where it seems like a lot of people are. And in fact, I just saw kind of a spoof piece on social media right before we came on the air that said that Floridans are now celebrating Mamdani as one of the greatest economic inventors for the state of Florida with how many people are moving down there. Are you seeing others? Are you seeing some of your brethren from New York City moving their way down south?
I'm hearing quite a lot of interest, and I think Brooklyn to, the number 2, Brooklyn to Boca Raton, I think is a trend. It's bizarre down here. I recently placed an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal just about how it's like Mutual of Omaha's wild kingdom down here. Up in New York for 40 years, my main exposure to wildlife was rats and pigeons, and down here, my gosh, there's otters and manatees and great blue heron and egrets and ibises and bass. I've caught more bass past 6 months than in my entire life.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah, that's what it's all about. I had seen Mamdani came out about a week or two ago with a map of the different towns of New York with, little Egypt and little this and little that. Ironically, did not include the Irish population, the Italian population, or the Jewish population in that map. There's a major uprising. I don't know about you, Dennis. Obviously, you live there. I've only visited one time in my life. I'm pretty sure those are probably the largest populations of New York, isn't it?
Yeah, they sure are, and he sure did manage to make sure the map included Little Palestine, which I've never heard of or seen. But yeah, you're going to cut out, Little Italy. I mean, my gosh, have we not seen The Godfather? And you know what? I don't think any gas guy is unintentional. I think flights are intentional.
Of course it is. Of course it is. So what's the response? What do you think? Do you think the pendulum's going to be able to swing the other way after this and say, this is way too crazy, we're going to make a change here? Or is this sticking around New York for a while?
I worry it's sticking for a while. New York's so big that you just won't truly see, especially with the media refusing to cover it, the true draw. I mean, it's going to take a long while. But in Oregon, you are seeing the outcomes, and you are seeing people push back. They had a May primary in which 250,000 voters signed a petition to get on the ballot a $4 billion tax increase the government pushed through the Democrats in an emergency session of the legislature. And 83% of voters in May voted to wipe out that tax increase, showing that even liberal Democrats are tired of a lot of this. When it starts hitting their pocketbook, that's when maybe they'll push back finally.
I really hope so, which leads me to my last question. We got about 30 seconds left here, Dennis. Is the Democratic Socialist of America movement within the Democrat Party, is that going to be short-lived, or will they take over and hijack that entire party?
The question is how much courage the Democrat leadership has. The DSA is 140,000 members, a nation of 340 million people, in a nation with 45 million registered Democrats. Are you guys going to sit there and let these wackos take over? Shame on you if you let this happen.
Yeah, well, so far they've allowed it to happen, and they're trying to play nice because according to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they say the enemy of my enemy is a friend, and as long as they can work together to beat Trump, they're happy with it. Dennis, we appreciate the time very much, my friend. We love it. Got to get you back on the show again soon. Back after this on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. This segment of The Voice of Reason brought to you by Hoosier Health. For your holistic health remedies, find more online at HoosierHealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the program, man. It flies right on by. 2 great guests today, and holy cow. When you're having fun, time flies. Fastest hour of radio on radio. Let me tell you about it right here on The Voice of Reason. Great to have you as usual. Find all of our information on our website at HoosierReason.com. I do want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. Congress may be on recess, but when they get back and reconvene, we can work on making the economy great as we continue to do, bringing in that golden age of America, and that's where our friends at Americans for Prosperity come into play. Go to americansforprosperity.org/affordability. They are AFP, being America's largest grassroots organization, chapters in every single state, and more than 4 million boots on the ground nationwide, helping you and I every day working on things like energy dominance, permitting reform, tax cuts, deregulation, healthcare reform, and so much more. Get the plan, and while your elected official is doing a town hall during the campaign trail in your area, go and get it in front of them with this agenda. Go to americansforprosperity.org/affordability, print it off, give it to them, and help bring in that golden age of America America with our friends over at AFP. All right, as we mentioned, a lot of things going on today. President Trump signing 2 executive orders on the childhood vaccine guidelines coming from the CDC. You know the other side's going to get very angry at that one, especially, which I find the timing on this really ironic, because if you listen to the weekend program that we had, there was some news last week that most people didn't know. Anybody know that we now have a brand new CDC director?
Say what?
And she's the first black woman that's the CDC director, so I guess that's, I don't know. Look cool, I guess. I have to say that because the other side to them, that like wins them over. Oh my gosh, all right, we checked the box off, because they like to play the identity politics. For us, we don't really care. She was recommended by RFK Jr. She was recommended by President Donald Trump. She went through the gruesome Senate confirmation hearings where Bernie Sanders was like, are you going to disavow the whole idea that vaccines are bad and cause autism? Well, she got through that. And then days later, we signed an executive order from the Trump administration saying that because of concerns of the autism, that we're going to cut back on the number of vaccines for children, going from 70 to 90 down to 11, which is really good news from President Trump and Stephen Miller that talked a little bit earlier.
I've been leading on this issue for years as well, too. It's a really incredible moment to stand here today and finally see the concerns of parents around this country addressed. There's been so much heartache where parents have had healthy children with no issues. They know they've been pressured into doing things that they didn't want to do, and medical science has told them for years that their concerns are not valid. This order does 2 fundamental, incredibly important things. First, is we get off of this ridiculous path of having our children get 70 to 90 shots. That is wantonly excessive. Remember, each and every one of these shots produces a profound immunological response. So across any large population, if you give a kid shot after shot after shot, you're going to have vaccine injuries. You're going to have immunological issues. You're going to have potentially neurological issues. Secondly, and so important to you, Mr. President, is the unbundling of the shot.
All right, so there you have. I guess it's only one. He signed 2 executive orders today. I guess only one regarding the childhood vaccine schedule. Look, here's the thing, and this is why people get really angry, because we're supposed to just blindly trust whatever's told from us from prior administrations, and all of the science directs towards it. We don't know what causes autism. Let's just be honest. We don't. It's very strange to me that we've gone from like 1 in 10,000 kids to like 1 in 33 kids that now have autism. And everybody in society is like, oh, that's a little weird. Okay, we'll go about our day. And we don't look into it. That's weird to me. Just comment, regardless, left, right, independent, indifferent, non-political, whatever. That's just weird. And we don't ask questions of like, gee, I wonder why that's happening. It could be vaccines. It could be environmental. It could be stuff in our water. It could be the ultra-processed foods. It could be, things that we have in our body is from parents. It could be a genetic mutation. We have no idea. But maybe we should do a little research. By the way, the executive order does not only go from 70 to 90 vaccines for children down to 11, but it does actually make us research vaccines to see exactly what is going on. Are any types of vaccines giving us any type of not mental health, but any type of health issues? Are at all, like in any way, is there concern about them? Which, if you're putting any foreign agent into your body at all, a vaccine, a food, a poison, a drug, whatever it is, it's going to have an effect on your body, especially something with a vaccine where the whole purpose of it is to stimulate your immune system or to go to your genetic level or go into your bloodstream or do whatever. There's going to be an effect. What is that effect? Are there negative effects of that when you're injecting a foreign issue into your body? What does that actually do as we learn about the body more? It's common sense questions. Not saying be anti-vax, not saying don't do any of it. I'm saying we should probably know a little bit more. And when you inject 90 of them in your body as a little baby trying to figure out the world, probably has some sort of effect on you in one way or the other. Common sense, man. But when you mention that, people lose their minds. We'll cover more about that tomorrow. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. It is your voice of reason. I'm Andy Hoosier. We'll see you on the radio. Bye.